Hello, I'm Kurt Weitzel, and I want to welcome you to the coolest and most informative podcast in the Westfield, Indiana area. What's Up Westfield? What's Up Westfield is a local chat fest to dig deep into politics, development, who's doing what, and anything else we can fit into 45 minutes of fun behind a microphone. If you have topics or interests in being an amazing guest, please reach out to us, and we'd love to hear your ideas. So today, we're here at Westfield High School in what is known as the Temporary Idea Farm. And my handsome guest...
amazing, too, according to your intro. So,
amazing, yes, that's right. You're one of the amazing guests. He, a few years ago, invited me into his idea farm to see what students were doing from a creative standpoint, and they were solving problems. He would have been my favorite teacher in high school, probably. And he probably would have given me the only A I ever received in high school, and that's probably why he'd be my favorite teacher. So, Mr. Joel Bruns,
hey,
welcome.
Thanks. Good to be here.
Mm-hmm. What is your title? Because I don't even know.
My title is officially Innovation Specialist.
And that is?
Yeah. What do you want it to be?
Okay, so here's one thing. I'm confused. Are you the librarian too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So here's what I tell people. It's like the librarian 2.0.
Okay.
So that all of that stuff falls under my responsibility, but then I have all this other stuff that I do as well.
Okay.
Including makerspace, including helping with Rock Shop, our spiritware stuff. And all kinds of other things as well.
So, like, you're the utilitarian, do it, whatever extra needs to be done.
I'm the Swiss Army knife of the school, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not teaching math or English.
No, neither of those. Although I used to teach English.
Okay, well, that gets us to, in a few minutes, I want to hear about you.
Okay.
I want to know where you were born,
Okay.
where you dropped out of school, you have a family, that stuff. And you got 3 minutes to do that.
Do that now.
Yeah.
Right now. Okay, all right. Where I was born. Ready?
Uh-huh.
Milan, Indiana.
We don't know where that is.
That's the school from Hoosiers, from the movie Hoosiers.
Okay. All right.
1954 state champions in basketball. Bobby Plump, the whole last shot, and that whole deal.
And you went to school with them?
No. No, I didn't.
Okay.
So I was a wrestler.
Okay, sure. You looked like a wrestler.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And let's see. Started college at Northern Kentucky University because I could live at home and just drive.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was like 45 minutes from my house.
Mm-hmm.
So I started there, moved to Indianapolis, and lived with my brother for a while, and started attending IUPUI, which is where I finished my degree.
Okay.
So I actually twice
got
two
degrees. What are those?
From IUPUI. The first one was English education. Okay. Second one was library science, Master of Library Science.
So were every other person in the library science program old women?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they pretty much were. I was gonna try to come up with no, it was all like no, yeah, it was pretty no. There were a couple of younger folks. There was kind of at the time I went to library school. There was this like weird group of people like me who were younger and like into library science schools. I have no explanation for that, but yeah.
So one of my favorite jobs I ever had was I was a page at the library in my hometown in high school.
Just one page?
I was just a page because that's all I could get through. And I was most amazed by the Dewey Decimal System.
Isn't that great?
It's amazing.
It's fantastic.
So like,
much easier than the library.
What are the 870s?
What are the 870? Oh, are you really challenging me?
I'm challenging you.
I think 870s you're still in like English literature.
What were the dirty books?
Because, where would those be? In Dewey? Gosh, like, let's see. It'd probably be in the 800s.
Is that about that section?
Because you'd be like you'd be in fiction and like classic literature. So you probably get. I mean, dirty books might be a little. It could be like D.H. Lawrence or something like that. Or
I guess dirty. They're not really dirty.
Yeah. It's gonna be literary dirty.
Yeah, it's all up to your imagination.
Right.
Well, I think that's awesome that you're okay. So you go to school, you graduate twice. I don't know how that works, but then you have 2 degrees, and then what?
And then, well, So I didn't go directly to grad school. I started teaching first.
Okay.
So I started teaching as I did my student teaching at my old high school.
That's
at
cool.
Milan. And then I worked as a temporary sub there for about half a year. And then I spent like the spring and summer of that year, I taught at Indiana Business College.
Okay.
Which I think is an interesting thing to talk about.
Okay.
So I was basically teaching business English to people who didn't want to learn business English. So
Who does?
Yeah, exactly. And so then after that, I got a job at Westfield. That I was hired 2 weeks before school started.
Oh.
And I was hired to do, drama, study skills, and something else. I don't remember what it was. Oh, ESL, English as a Second Language.
Oh, okay.
So I taught the three different things, but I was only I was sort of part-time. I worked full-time, but I was like hourly for part of it, and then salary for the rest. And eventually I became an English teacher at the middle school.
So English as a second language, obviously it's got to be to one particular group from the front end. Were you teaching the Spanish?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
And so you're fluent in Spanish, I'm guessing? Because I didn't hear anything in your education about Spanish.
You could guess that, but you would be wrong.
So is that how the hiring is in a high school? Like they see someone that can teach, and they find something to have them teach. It doesn't have to be, they're not specialized necessarily.
Well, yeah, I mean, you are licensed in an area. So, I'm licensed in English. But when I switched to library, that licensed me for K through 12. But my English license is just 5 through 12, so secondary English. So that includes...
So you can't speak to anyone under 5?
Fifth grade.
Fifth grade. You can't even communicate with them.
No, I can't.
I mean,
like it comes out like that sort of
I was the same way. I still can't talk to my children. Okay, so you got hired on to do this bunch of jobs.
Yep.
And then when did you move to become what you are now? How did you convince them of that?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So I was at the middle school, I think, for 8 years. 5 years as an English teacher, English, technology, drama, English as a second language, all the things, but mostly as an English teacher, 7th grade. And then became, that was 5 years, I think, became a librarian, did that for 3 years, and then moved over here, and that's been 5, that math does not work out.
You know what?
This is my 20th year, and this is my 5th or 6th year here, so yeah. But I'm getting to the point where my memory doesn't work.
Well, I just noticed we're 8 minutes in, and most of the people that are going to fact check you are gone.
Oh yeah, good, yeah.
So
perfect.
whatever you said is just fine. It is what it is.
Does Dr. Great listen until the very end?
Yes, and she wants the she asked for the script of it, whatever it's called, the typed up version.
Got it. Okay.
All right. Were you a good high school student?
No, I wasn't a good high school student.
Were you just because you were mischievous or goofy, or were you just a bad high school student?
I was got a little bit disengaged. So I tell kids that I created the idea farm. I created a makerspace because that's what I really needed when I was in school. I needed to be thinking about big things, but I needed to be doing that with my hands as well.
Isn't that awful? That
I know,
spring?
That's terrible. That spring is,
You told me
so
to
I
get
will
this
apologize.
was in the link.
I will apologize to listeners for that noise that Kurt just made.
Yes, I know.
So I was not a great student. I wasn't a dumb student though. I needed to be approached differently.
And one of the reasons that I enjoy it. Excuse us, there's an announcement being made.
Is that?
I don't know.
I think it might just be Mark on the telephone.
I think it's Mr. Fugate's getting a fight.
That may be.
When I was in high school, junior high school, it was boring.
Yeah.
And because I wasn't dumb, but I wasn't going to ever excel at math or science or any of the traditional stuff.
Right.
But there was nothing, I was in band, but nothing was really exciting to want to pursue.
Yeah.
And so I think that's one of the things. How you kind of?
That's exactly how I felt. I didn't see myself in a lot of the things that we were doing. Yeah, this is what I needed. I needed an idea farm.
Did you have an idea farm?
No, we didn't.
And so what would you say? Would you say like a shop class or a home ec class or something like that was close?
Yeah, I took both of those, actually. I took
Mhm.
shop and home ec.
Yeah.
Just because...
You're a great cook, I bet.
I'm not
I bet
cook.
you're
I brought in some pulled pork today that was pretty good. Yeah, it was pretty good.
And
yeah.
that's your home ec class?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I can sew.
Uh-huh.
Like I can do all the things.
Run a
like,
seam.
I can do the things.
My button popped.
I can do it.
Can we? You got that?
Absolutely.
So you when so like shopping, but you had a weird look when I said that is not a good example of replacement for Idea Farm to you.
Yeah, well, no, I don't, because I think that they're like the Idea Farm should be way more than that, way more than shop class, way more than home ec class.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to take parts of that, but that doesn't include screen printing,
Mm-hmm.
or that doesn't include electronics, and that doesn't include programming, and all of the other things that we try to do in here as well. And trying to sort of put all of those things into a blender and mash everything up and see what comes out.
Mm-hmm.
So like having a mirror that you build, you might build the frame and build the stuff for it, but then it also has programming behind it where it's like telling you things or things like that. So
I picture you as the librarian, and you're sorting encyclopedias, and you're working through punch cards and things like that.
Sure, yeah, we still use those.
And you're thinking the drawers
yeah.
of cards, and suddenly you think we got to start an Idea Farm. Is that how that worked, or was there?
I mean, yeah, basically, because here's the thing, like, and this was something that I talked to some of the other librarians in the district about as well, and the public librarians. Look, people weren't coming to the high school library to check out books.
Mm-hmm.
They just were not. They were, somewhat would walk past it, or were afraid to engage, didn't come in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a matter of survival for all librarians, in my opinion, to find services that they can provide to the community. Because what the Idea Farm stands for is the exact same thing as what a library does, right? It's shared resources. The resources here just aren't books. They're Raspberry Pi, computers, or they're woodworking tools, or whatever else. So it's providing the same thing as a traditional library. It's just finding a new way to engage with.
I've never thought about it that way.
With students or patrons.
So you're right. It's dead on another library, just different, more than books.
Yeah.
Or magazines.
Right.
So, did you right away? Did you have to convince people to do this? Was this welcomed, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the school was definitely very open to it. They, when I was hired here, they knew it was time for a change. Things needed to be freshened up.
And you're fresh.
I'm nothing if not fresh.
Fresh.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Thank God you're fresh today.
Yeah, they were very open to it. They wanted to, like, it hadn't been updated in a long time. It was like kitty cat, like those flag things that people have. When I got here, it was like all of those nylon, like, hanger things.
Which were cool. Those were cool.
I mean, at some point, I guess.
And they're in the building somewhere, I guarantee you.
Well, they might be, yeah. And so it was things like that, and just, like, real stale and very just ready for an update. And so when I came in, they were very excited about it.
So was that one of the things you like about your career? Like, becoming a librarian wasn't about books. Was it because you saw that opportunity, or were you not even thinking that early on?
No, I mean, I'm a book guy though too. Like I was an English major when I started college. I was an English major, not an education major, an English major. So I was a book guy, but I was also all those other things guy as well. And I think I always had in the back of my mind that librarianship, like I knew that that whole world was changing. Like it couldn't exist in me. I can go online right now and buy any book I want for probably less than $5, right? So I don't really need to go to my public library to get that thing.
No. Don't tell them that.
I'm not going to tell them
Okay.
that because I'm on the
That's a secret still.
Yes.
Okay.
But we all know that. Like
Yeah.
everybody
It's fact,
knows that, right? That I can buy it for $1.50.
Mhm.
It's used, but I don't care because it has the same
The
words.
one at the library's used.
So I can do that. I can still have those things for the people who need it because there are people who still need those things. They still need access to those resources, print resources and things like that. I can still do all that, but I can also provide a whole bunch of other things. And I just think that it's fundamental to the survival of libraries, whether they're in schools or public or wherever they are. So, yeah. I don't even know what the question was. I got so far off track there.
It's typed on here somewhere. I could go back and look. But you've answered all of them, so good show.
Did I really?
No, you wish. So do you think kids get, when they walk into the idea farm or into your space, what it is before they have an experience? Like, do you think they get it?
I think they're starting to. I think it makes more sense now. Like with being in this temporary space, like that kind of throws me off the rails a little bit.
It's really nice, though.
Yeah. Oh, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, it's so spacious in here. I can't believe the chandeliers. Like, can you? I mean, it's
gorgeous.
Amazing. Yeah.
The silks.
It's really great. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And how spacious. Like, you can probably hear the echo.
You know,
You'll
what's
probably be
interesting
able to hear the echo in
not to be the jerk of the world, but, a lot of times you hear how teachers don't have a lot of resources, and you walk in they're beautiful classrooms.
Right.
You really can complain about this space.
That's right. Yeah, I could, but I don't. I try not to because I got something really good waiting for me.
Because why? Why are you in this little spot?
Yeah, so we closed down the old Learning Center, Learning Center, Idea Farm, all of it, in, April last year for renovations. So it is preparing to be open soon, renovated in December. So I should have my full space back, which is like 3 times what it used to be.
Oh, wow.
Which is going to be fantastic. So,
cool.
Yeah.
And so the Idea Farm was inside the Learning Center.
Inside the Learning Center, yeah.
Which is now a stairway. The Learning Center is a stairway at this point.
The Learning Center is a stairway and other things. Yeah, so Mr. Fugate's classroom is now in that space.
Okay.
The rock shop, what this room used to be, will be in that space.
Okay.
A big cafe will be in that space. We have a computer lab in that space. We have like an area that we can do screen printing and wet stuff in there. The Idea Farm obviously is expanded and
so there's so it's not just a drop-in library space, and you're really pushing hard to make it a reason to be there. So there's classes. What classes? What classes, Mr. Fugate?
So Mr. Fugate will have a couple of. He does a couple of different things: entrepreneurship, business law. Is that right? Intro to business, and so. All of his businessy kinds of classes he does out of there. I will also have a class in there that's called Innovation by Design, and so that's where we do makerspace kinds of things, where we dig into tools and we students are asked to sort of come up with a really kind of passion project that they can work on, and they can work on that for an extended period of time as well. So we've got that in there also.
And then your Idea Farm, which was over on the left side there, is it the same as it was before?
Same space, but just bigger and expanded.
So it will be bigger.
Cool. Yep.
Because you have a lot more ideas, right?
Absolutely. Well, yeah, I'm way full of ideas.
So for those that haven't been to the Idea Farm, give us a visual kind of what the Idea Farm is.
Okay. So the Idea Farm is a makerspace. A makerspace is...
Do I call it the right thing when I say it's the Idea Farm?
Yeah.
Because you call it Makerspace or the Innovation Center.
Idea Farm is our name. That's our brand.
Okay.
Right? Makerspace is just what it is.
Okay.
Which, if you're not familiar with Makerspace, if your listeners aren't familiar with that, it's a place where you can go and you can share tools. You come in and you can build projects. So there's one at the Fishers Public Library now called Ignite Studios. It's in what used to be Launch Fishers down there in the basement. There's another really large one that's opening in Fishers called Hub and Spoke. There's downtown. There's a lot of them nowadays. There wasn't so many when I first opened.
A couple of years ago.
Farm, so yeah.
Were.
When Idea Farm has been open now like 4 or 5 years, and at that time, like if I told them it was it's a makerspace, they you get the blank look like, already talked about. So, okay.
I still think Maker's Mark when you say Maker's Mark. Every time I think.
We can't do that.
I get thirsty. I know. Next.
So the a makerspace is basically like if you said visually.
Yeah, walk
in
them
terms
through
of visually.
so they can see what it is.
So you have typically. I try to divide things into stations. So I have an electronic station. So there you'll have like soldering irons and little wires and resistors and capacitors and bits and pieces like that. Little electric motors. There's 3D printing. So we have 2 3D printers that we use. We try to encourage students to create their own 3D models rather than just downloading, Yu-Gi-Oh figurines from the web and that sort of thing, and using them in kind of what I would call real ways of trying to solve problems.
So they're not just coming in there to make a toy.
Correct, yes. Which, we've gotten into that before too. And it gets them through the door, so sometimes that kind of thing is fun. Yeah. Let's see. So then we also have a laser engraver. We have the Glowforge laser engraver and laser cutter. So that can be used to engrave things on plastic, wood, metal, any number of things. It can be used to cut as well, so you can build furniture on that thing. You can build little lamps or whatever you want to. We have a CNC machine that's kind of in the dirty lab in the back, so maybe I'll wait and get to that. There's a
the dirty lab in the back.
Dirty lab.
By the way, that's Mr. Fugate's office.
How appropriate.
He's in the room, so we can say that.
So we have a vinyl cutting station as well. That's where we do like heat transfer vinyl to make like T-shirts, and you can just do stickers and things like that as well. We have a heat press for that also.
If you need to take a call or a meeting, you're fine.
I had a call. That's fine. No, all good there. The last thing that I probably should talk about in the sort of clean part of the space is sewing machine.
Oh yeah.
So we have a sewing machine,
which is dear to your heart.
Dear to my heart. Yeah, I love my sewing machine. So we actually have more than the one that's sitting over in the corner right now. We have like a big like industrial one that's not in here right now.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah, that little guy over there.
That little guy will get the job done, but the big industrial guy is really where it's at.
So I'm a junior.
Yeah.
And
wait, I forgot.
Oh, what?
Then in the back we
we gotta go to the dirty back. Yeah.
Dirty lab
Dirty
space.
lab.
So we have a CNC machine, which is basically like a robotic router. So you can use that to create furniture or to do engravings or use it in a bunch of different ways as well. Chop saws, all the like typical woodworking tools with the exception of a table saw. So, yep.
So that's both the spaces. And you'll have the 2 spaces again.
Yep.
You'll have a divided dirty and clean again.
Dirty, clean, and wet, actually.
And wet, okay.
in the next one. I know, yeah.
So I'm going to move on to the next question.
That's probably a good
Before we fall apart. All right, so I'm a junior in high school, which I probably am less mature than a junior in high school, but I'm a junior in high school, and I sign up for, is it a class, or is it a elective? Is it just a wander in during my free time?
Yes.
Okay, so I sign up, I find out about the Idea Farm. Mr. Fugate's worried about me, and he says, you ought to go check out the Idea Farm.
Yeah.
So I walk in.
Yes.
What happens?
Well, it's probably you're going to be greeted by me asking you like what kind of things you're interested in, or like what do you want to build something, or just giving you a tour of the space, letting you know like if you don't know what you want to do, it's probably just going to be a tour of the space.
Do most people know what they're going to do?
A good number of kids who walk in do. Like there are some kids who they are just laser focused on. I want to 3D print. I like 3D modeling. I want to be an engineer. That's my wheelhouse. That's what I want to do.
And they can go to your room to do that.
And they can go there and do that.
But I don't know what I'm going to do. So you're going to give me a tour?
I'm going to give you a tour. I'm going to go through basically all of the things that we just did. I'm going to show you all of the possible things. And I'll probably even show you some projects that other students have done in the recent time in the Idea Farm, and see if that sparks anything for you to find a project for you to work on.
So if it's a class, because it is a class, correct?
I have a class as well. Yeah.
So if it's a class, there's requirements, obviously.
Right.
If it's not a class, if it's during my free hour, whatever, which there were many times it was a free day for me, but if I'm in there on free time, what's the structure of it? How do move about? Do I just do what I want?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, as long as as long as you have my trust, and I know that you're not like going to go back in the back and like chop your thumb off or something, which I pretty much know the people who come through the door. I have mostly frequent flyers, and I know the kids who need the training and the kids who are. He's good. He's in like construction class or something else. So, yeah, if it's otherwise, it's pretty free, unstructured. You're able to work on your project. I'll probably harass you and just ask you about your project and see if there's, if you want help or if you need help, or I might give you help even if you don't want it, the kind of thing.
Do people have to ask you to leave them alone at times?
Yeah, usually, yeah.
Typically?
Please, we don't want you doing our project.
Stop. Can I sit at the sewing machine, Mr. Bruns?
No, it's my turn.
So, I mean, do kids get in there? Does that happen where people come in, they have no idea what they want to do, they just know that they can go in there and kind of explore?
Absolutely, it happens all the time, yeah.
And they kind of discover a neat little thing, and they turn it into a project or a hobby or something?
Yep. Like, I had a student from Mr. Fugate's class last year, and she came down, she knew me, but she had no idea what she was going to do. Like, none whatsoever. She just knew, I think, that she didn't want to be in the class with the rest of the students that were in there kind of thing. And so she came and did her time with me, and I talked to her, and throughout it, we found out she had like some interest in medical, going into medicine and that sort of thing. So we built this little project that she like 3D printed a heart. She added an LED light. She made it like pulse like a heartbeat, and So
do you want that? Is that cool to you? I know you're an educator, so
totally
is that cool when someone walks in, they don't really know, and you can kind of show them the world of your idea farm, and then they kind of mature in there and they
absolutely.
find stuff?
I mean, you find something that really gets you going. Like that's what it's all about. So yeah.
So when someone comes into that room and they know what they want to do, so I want to go into 3D printing.
Right.
Is someone sitting down at that 3D printer and just burning stuff out, or do you? I mean, because it's not free to run, and it's other kids want to use it.
Right.
So how is it when someone wants to do something? How do you maintain control?
Yeah. So for the most part, throughout the year, it's not an issue. Like it's everyone's friendly. Hey, I've got something to put on there next, or hey, come back next period. We'll get you put on there. The only time of the year that ever becomes an issue is when we have part of our Project Lead the Way classes. They do a couple of projects where they need access to 3D printers. They're printing like it's called airfoils or whatever, like a plane wing where they do wind resistance testing. And they have a couple of other things. There is when it really becomes an issue. So what we usually do is take a dry erase board, mark it like first come, first serve. As soon as one's off, we put the next one on, cross your name off the list.
So you schedule it.
You're out. Yeah.
And then who pays for them? It's just a part of your budget?
The material is part of our budget, yeah. So if you're going to print something more than just a one-off kind of thing, like you're not going to come into the idea farm and like manufacture something on the 3D printer and use up my filament. They're more for prototypes.
Are there times where you have to tell people to slow it down?
Oh yeah, bit? I've had a couple where kids will just go out and buy their own roll of filament, bring it in so that they can use. So they have access to the printer, but they pay for the materials.
Well, that's cool. So
and we've done that with Mr. Fugate's classes before too. Like we had someone doing, I think, like Christmas ornaments or something. But they were calculating the cost of the filament that they were using at like 2.5 cents per kilogram or whatever it was. Not kilogram, per gram or whatever it was. And then they accounted.
They're huge.
It's huge. they accounted for that in their in the prices that they set for their to pay us back for the filament.
So I think the idea farm is a great idea. It's a great service, if anything. It's cool.
Yeah.
Where do you see? So you're young. You're still trying to figure out how it works into the school, I'd imagine. Where do you see it in this type of program in high schools in 5 years, 10 years?
I think you'll see a version of the idea farm. I think you'll see makerspace in almost every school, at least in upper, secondary schools, middle school, and high schools. Although there are a lot of elementaries now that really like this idea as well. Just because in the workforce, what teachers will often call the real world, right? When you'll find out when you get out in the real world kind of thing.
Whatever that is.
Right, exactly. I still haven't found
It's just the biggest playground.
Exactly. I think that with automation and with the, changing work environments, people need creative problem solvers. They don't need robots because we have those, and they're putting people out of jobs, right?
Yeah.
So we don't need any more of those because it's easy to get another robot.
Just build another.
Just build another. So I think the demand for people who can be creative and people who can solve problems will be increased over the next 10 to 20 years.
And you think that's an education that's happening at the high school level or middle school level, or intermediate
Absolutely.
school level?
I think it has to. I almost think it'll have to begin changing at all levels. I think all of that will fundamentally shift. Like sitting in a desk and moving from one table to the next, and writing and doing those things. Obviously, math and English and things like that, they're going to exist, right?
Yeah, they have to.
But the demand for things like what we do in the idea farm of mixing bits of computer code with I don't even know, with building an actual physical product, things like that, where you can think in multiple directions at one time. That's where I think the benefit will be in the future.
I think it teaches a process too.
Absolutely.
And a process of they find a problem, they got to solve it, but then you actually can learn. And I know this isn't the most refined resource in the end. This isn't, you're not manufacturing things for General Motors, but it teaches them to learn a process to get from start to finish in any application.
Yeah, we kind of refer to that as like the design thinking process, right? You're going to start by coming up with just a whole bunch of ideas, and then you're going to refine it as you move on. You're going to iterate. You're going to test it. You're going to come back to that first stage where you say, this didn't work, so let me come up with a bunch more of ideas or a bunch more variations and iterations of the same thing. Push that through that same process again and again.
I tend to hover in that didn't work, and then I have a whole bunch of new ideas stage.
Yeah.
I hover in there.
I like that. I like that area. That feels pretty good.
It's hot. Yeah, it's a good spot.
I have the tendency to hover in I have 9,000 projects going at one time. Which one am I going to spend the next 10 minutes on?
I wish someone would come to me and say, I just want to assist you in all your ideas.
Yeah.
I will run with the ball.
Yeah.
I will. I mean, it could be bought.
Yeah.
Mr. Fugate said he'll do it.
I think he's.
Yeah. I can't imagine what that would cost.
Did he have a resume in his back pocket?
Yeah.
As he was doing it?
So one of the things. So I graduated in '94, in Battle Creek, Michigan, and everything was about go to college. And everything was, and I knew I would never finish college. I just knew it, and a lot of people know that.
Yep.
And I feel like here, locally in Westfield, it's a very educated community. I mean, there's most people probably have college degrees, but I feel like it's coming around to where you can learn a skill.
Yeah.
Or they're seeing the value in maybe we oversold the whole education for everyone thing. Do you agree with that?
I totally agree with you. Yeah,
Locally?
I absolutely think so. I think that you're seeing things where you're coming out of a 4-year education with a psychology degree and you got $100,000 in debt, and holy cow, that feels like a lot.
You need a psychologist.
Right.
Just to deal with it.
And what are you going to do with that? What are you going to do with that degree? So I mean, it's great.
Yeah.
Like that, it builds character, it builds a soul, right? Which there's value in that. But I think a lot of folks are saying, but it's not going to pay the rent. And do I need to take on all of that debt? So I think I think Westfield is very open to that and looking into what are other ways that we can do this where it's not necessarily a 4-year college.
Do you support a kid that comes in and has an idea and they're passionate about it, and they're a senior and they're trying to figure out how to monetize it, and they never bring up college? They say, hey, I want to pursue this for a little while and try
Absolutely. Yeah, we've had kids who are exactly like that. They want to give something a shot. They were, yeah, I totally support that.
Does the school system support that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we do. I think more and more, one of the things that we repeat over and over is that we want to prepare you for the day after graduation.
Mm-hmm.
So for some of the people, that's going to be moving on to a 4-year education. For some of them, a trade school. For some of them, let's start a business right now. Let's do this. So yeah, I think that is not just talk from our school system. I think it really is kind of where we're at.
So before we get into your other project that I've gladly been a part of, small part of, about you, what's a hobby of yours other than sewing?
I have a lot of them.
Other than reading too.
Okay, so running.
You're a runner.
I'm a runner.
Okay.
Have been for a long time, although I'm a little fat right now and running real slow. But
you're a jogger.
I still do it. I still get out there and put my shoelaces on.
And you ride your bike to school, to work?
I do sometimes, yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
I always get a kick when I see you on your bike.
To the irritation of some of my students too. They'll be, biking up Union Street. They're like, I gotta slow down for Bruns.
He controls everything. Do you come down the middle of the trail?
I do, yeah, it's perfect. It goes all the way to my house.
Are there people on it in the morning?
Yep, a little bit. I mean, not a lot.
Is it the other teachers?
No.
Okay.
I don't know any other
is
people.
Mr. Fugate on his bike?
I haven't seen Mr. Fugate.
He's probably got like a Ducati.
There is. Probably.
So cool. Yeah. Like, comes in doing wheelies.
He's really cool. He's very
cool. You're fresh. He's cool.
Fresh.
What's a Oh, I can't ask you that one yet. Okay, so let's talk. So one of the reasons we got introduced is you had done the Shark Tank one year.
Yeah.
And I came in here with a couple people, and it was pretty exciting to me. So tell us what the Shark Tank is, and what it's become, or what it was. Whatever.
Yeah. So I don't know how many years we've done that now. It's probably 4 or 5 years that we've been doing it. The first year it started was kind of not really even my idea. It was this outside company called Pitch Feast. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. They do events through all of Indianapolis where it's a pitch competition. So people come up with a business idea. They go in front of an audience and they pitch the idea. The audience decides on the winner, which it's really weird. This is the one thing that I didn't love about it was that, like, you buy a token, like, your cover charge to be at the event is you buy a token.
Sure.
And that token allows you to vote for the people that you think have the best idea.
So you got to pay.
So you got to pay to vote. Yes.
So
and basically, the winner of every competition that I've gone to is the person who can get their aunts and uncles to show up.
Like $20
at the event, right? Yeah, and that's because you can buy additional tokens too. Like, so you're either got the most money or the most,
every
nieces,
time the
nephews, and
wins.
step neighbors involved to get the win.
So you didn't like that?
So I didn't love the way that voting happened, and so I was like, well, I think we can just do this on our own. So the following year, I think that's when I reached out to you guys and said, hey, dude, I have this idea to do a Shark Tank pitch competition. You guys want to get involved? And so that's when it started. And so basically that first year, we had, I think 4 people in the final round. We had, I think, somewhere around 10 to 20 in the first round of competition. So basically it's 2 rounds of competitions. You come in, pitch your idea to us, and then we pass you through and say you're in finals or you need some more work.
I always find the us group to be funny. Like, to me, we sit there and listen to these poor kids that are doing their best.
Right.
And we all just came from a day, and,
right.
And we're probably in a grouchy mood.
Yeah.
And, you got Chad Huff, who's got a chip on his shoulder, and you got, Ben Davis, who wants to see a kid cry.
That's it. It seems to be his goal.
Yeah,
right?
he wants to see a kid cry, and then like me, I'm hoping someone's got an idea that can make some money in there, or whatever.
Right.
But I think it's a hilarious atmosphere for those poor students at the end of the table.
Right.
Do you think they see it that way?
And kind of my job is on the line too. Like when Ben Davis makes the kid cry, it's like, here's your pink slip too.
Yeah, nice knowing you. But like you're like
Thank you for your service.
It's funny, you like shuffle them into this situation.
Right.
Here, little boy, it'll be fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Everything's fine.
It really is a good idea. I know I talked you into this. So you got a group of kids, you're out rallying them, right?
Right.
Throughout the school.
Yeah.
Is Mr. Fugate or the rest of the school sponsoring this, supporting it, or what?
Yeah, definitely. So Mr. Fugate sends some kids along with their project Lead the Way because they have to be developing a product idea in those classes anyway. So they kind of are built in, like, hey, we already have this thing. Let's just pitch it and see how well it works. And then you have the other kids who I just know through doing stuff that have weird ideas or good ideas or other things that I kind of rope those kids in. Yeah.
And then whether they can sell or not, they're up in front of us having to pitch.
That's a big thing. Yeah. I think the kids who really got the sales pitch tend to do well in the competition.
They do, and sometimes, and I understand that's important, the way the world works.
Right.
But sometimes, the guy, I don't remember, Jake or something, the guy that had the video game, the weird silent video game.
Yeah.
And the poor guy couldn't sell it for the life
of
it.
No. Yeah.
But he had this awesome, concept.
Yeah.
And we just couldn't get there because he couldn't tell us exactly what it was and how to scale it and all that.
Which really, goes to, I think there's an important thing that we can work on, right? It's storytelling and how that fits into kind of the business environment of you have to be able to tell the story of the thing, or you can't sell anything.
No, and that's how it works.
Yeah,
it's how it works in every situation.
Yeah.
And
why am I going to give you my business
if you can't sell it? You got to bring someone in that can.
Yes, agreed.
And obviously, I fell for the Communicode sale.
Yeah,
and they had
a good sales pitch
awesome,
too, right? Yeah.
And they're dangerous because they're not. I'm not saying that negatively. Those guys are so good at selling, and they're smart. They can implement what they want to do that they can take over the world.
Right.
And you don't see that in a math class, I don't think.
Right.
You don't see that out, in a typical environment. So, and it's cool if they get to practice that. Yeah. So Shark Tank, I'm sorry.
Shark Tank, yeah.
So Shark Tank, then they win. We do a final. What is it?
Yeah. So last year, the one change that we made last year that I thought was really great was that we opened it up to the Chamber of Commerce in Westfield and let the chamber vote on our winner. Which I don't know about you, but I thought that was really.
It was
great.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I thought it was good for both the kids to be able to be there and for the folks at the chamber to see, the energy and the enthusiasm and all of that stuff. That's great.
Wasn't it weird to have an audience?
Yeah.
People show up at the final.
Yeah, right. Right, exactly. And that was great. It totally solved our issue.
It did solve the issue. But it created value for the chamber.
Yeah.
I don't think the chamber had any idea what it was or if it existed.
Right.
And so to have that up there, and they were really impressed by every single student.
And so I think the dream is really and kind of what I'm working on this year is that we will expand that to the entire Hamilton County so that every chamber in Hamilton County will have their own individual competition, and then we'll have one big kind of grand champion competition at the end of the year, like in May. We'll see if all that comes off, but we're working on it.
It's
right
a lot
now.
of work.
Working with some folks over at Fishers and HSE and Noblesville. So. Yeah.
So you see it as a big, science fair type thing at some point, with different schools competing or communities competing.
I think it'd be great.
It would be great.
And a little point of pride, the Westfield was the winner. You know what I mean? If we win,
we are going to be such brats if we win.
Absolutely. And you can hold it over on
we knew
Carmel.
We
can thumb our nose.
I knew we were going to win the whole time.
Exactly. Carmel didn't have anything.
They would have won if they could buy tokens.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so you kind of answered where you want to see it. A little side thing here because we're going to wrap up in a minute, but I imagine you're a pretty easygoing teacher, aren't you?
Oh yeah, for sure.
How often do you fail somebody?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
When was the last time you wrote an F or someone? Not Fugate, because we know that thing happens more than Mr. F.
He's just
his red pin cap never goes on the pen.
Never. No. No.
You don't fail.
There is no reason that you should fail this class.
Because could you have told my teachers that?
you get to do what you want to do in here.
So if you're in there, you've got some interest.
You better.
It's so funny.
Like the only way that you're going to fail is if you like have no idea
Sleep.
what you are. Like sleep. Or just you don't know who you are, and like, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know.
But that hasn't have you had to fail anybody?
No.
Tell me you've had to write an F for somebody. Like they did something stupid.
When I did things for like, okay, like, all right. If you're going to push me into it, like, maybe you got an F for the week or something. Because
but not the class.
You didn't do anything. No, you should not be failing this class.
Well,
there's no reason.
I didn't have that in school. Anyway. I mean, I was able to fail every class.
I have dispensed an F before.
Did you feel bad about it? Did you feel bad about it?
No, not really, because you don't usually give an F. You earn an F, right? That's the old teacher thing that they say. I'm not giving you an F. You got an F. Like, you earned your F.
Do you think Mr. Fugate feels bad when he gets an F? I don't think
not
he
does. At all. Yeah, I think he's dead inside.
Yeah, I've been waiting to give him dead inside. He does have a law degree.
That's right, exactly.
Esquire. It's fun to have him here
where he doesn't have a microphone where he can respond back to us. It's fantastic.
But he's keeping score, obviously.
That's why he's on his
cost
computer.
All of us. All right, so another teacher. Does Mr. Gilbert ever come in there and cause trouble? Coach Gilbert?
Does he cause trouble?
Does he ever come in there and just like start touching stuff?
No, not
messing
really.
with things? And
not really, no.
Okay.
He does sometimes call and looking for something. Like he was looking for
He's always losing things?
No.
Okay.
He was looking for, he's having a competition for a couple of students, or for a group of students, and he needed like booby prizes, so like junk that he could give away.
Once again, you were the resource for all the oddities.
Yes, he said, I knew that if I needed some random crap, I knew that if I came to you, you would have it.
And you did, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, of course I did. I went through this morning, and I gave him several options. I had like a bag of rocks, so like a desktop cornhole game.
And he loved it.
He loved it.
And now you're the guy.
Exactly what he wanted. That's everybody has to have a purpose. In this
absolutely.
Life. And
you've made it.
I found mine.
Well, I think how can people get involved in your program? How can residents, or I don't know if they can, or businesses be involved in you?
So, perfect example. Tomorrow night we have something that I do that is called Family Make Night. So that's where I invite students from 3rd grade up to come in with a parent or a guardian, an adult. And we make something together. So tomorrow night I have a bunch of canvas tote bags that are like Halloween candy bags. We're going to use the vinyl cutter to cut out designs, and then we're going to put those on the heat press, and we're going to heat press them onto the canvas bags. So kids will walk out of here tomorrow with their own customized treat bag that they made.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So that's one of the ways that you can get involved.
How often is Family Make Night?
That is once a month on the last Wednesday of the month.
We used to have Make a Family Night, but that was another event.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
After Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers. Cheers is so far old. Okay, so how do people know about that?
I send that over to central office. They send out an announcement.
So that's probably in that newsletter that we get from the schools.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
is it on Facebook or anything? You got a Facebook page?
Yeah. Well, I also, when I send it to central office, I send it to our kind of communications lady as well, and they put it out on Facebook also.
You don't know, do you?
Facebook, Twitter.
You send it off.
I do. It's great.
It's just there.
It is fantastic. You can go to the website as well. So we have a website, cagefreeideas.com, for the Idea Farm, where I put links to things like that as well. So,
okay. Yeah. I'll share that for sure.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think of other things.
What about businesses? How can a business be involved?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we will take any donations. You can get involved in Shark Tank. You can contact me for that, or talk to Kurt for that as well. So yeah, we always need help with those things.
So
if you want to sponsor the Idea Farm, we'll accept that as well.
I wish business people knew what you need all the time.
Yeah.
Because
should I keep a list?
Seriously, I would. Danielle Easterhouse at Student Impact?
Yeah.
student impact. She's got a running list of what she needs.
That's fantastic.
And like people will go up to her and say, "You need anything?" And she's like, "Bang, bang, bang, bang," and it ends with "and a van." You know, I mean, it goes from I need pencils to a 18-passenger van with chrome wheels.
Fantastic.
So she's got a list of things, and like there's a group.
Yeah. So if you hear of someone who's wanting to donate a water jet cutter, that's the toy that I really want.
A water jet? What's a water jet cutter cost?
Oh, it's so great.
Are they like $10,000 or
it's not that expensive. It's like $5,000.
Okay.
It's tabletop, so it's pretty small. I have this dream that I would really like to open like a bike shop for kids, for students, like to build custom bikes. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Awesome.
We don't have any room for the welding part of it, but the water jet
build the bike, actually.
Yeah, actually build the bikes, because this thing can cut through steel, the water jet cutter. So it's like a plasma cutter. But
I think Chad Huff has one you can have. There you go. Problem solved.
Done. Bike shop started.
Well, I love what you do. I really do think it's
Thank
awesome.
Thanks.
I've enjoyed being a little bit involved in it. I appreciate you doing my podcast.
Absolutely.
And hopefully it keep your idea farm, for the love of God, grows out of this space.
Yeah.
But it'll be cool. And we'll,
I hope so too.
Share the new space soon.
One more thing.
Okay.
If you want to find out more about makerspaces.
Here we go.
Yeah. Listen to my podcast.
What's your
Maker Riot? Maker Riot. You can find it anywhere you get podcasts. iTunes, Google Play.
And
Spotify,
how often do you post?
We do just once a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
We
And
do a
who
little
is
more
it?
of a. It's me and the director of the Makerspace over at the Fishers Public Library, which is called Ignite Studios. Okay. So she and I do it, and we interview people from all over the country.
Awesome.
So,
cool. We'll share that too. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Cool.
Of course.
Thank you, Mr. Bruns.
Hey, thanks, Kurt.
All right. See you.
Bye.
Be sure to subscribe, like, and follow. What's up, Westfield?